got flooding here and we lost the car and we had to get evacuated. A lot of people that lost all their possessions. There's a lot of people very badly affected that aren't back in their homes yet. Townsville got absolutely hammered.
Disaster emerging with these floodwaters.
I got water filled in me.
I haven't seen this for like 20 years.
When I first met Isobel at the beginning of the year, the floods were happening. She shared very openly that it was a really intense impact.
This year's been really, really big for the both of us, and there's been a lot of things that are happening, and especially for Izzy with the floods and stuff at the start of the year. The main people in her network were all really, really affected by it. And she's just like, I feel like I'm, you know, just running off, escaping this while everyone else is still there suffering.
I know people who still haven't moved back into their house. Things are slowly getting back to normal, but it's taking its time.
It was very stressful not having Isobel here, and obviously stressful for Isobel not knowing what was happening up here, because there were reports of people missing and because of lack of communications. We got flooding here and we lost the car and we had to get evacuated. Yeah. A lot of people that lost all their possessions. There's a lot of people very badly affected that aren't back in their homes yet. She wanted to be here and we wanted to be with her, so it was really great that she was being looked after.
I've always wanted to do law and always was going to do law, but I knew for a fact if I applied to law I probably wouldn't get in because I didn't perform as well as I could have in high school, being a bit of a questionable slack student. So I was like, you know what, I can just start a degree that moderately interests me, or it did interest me quite a bit, and then if I decide I like it, I can stick with it and then can pick up law down the track, or I can transfer over.
I taught Isobel for Year 11 and 12 legal studies. Isobel as a student developed and grew over the 2 years. She started out a super keen being that wanted to be involved in everything and perhaps didn't quite know how to manage it. The initial issues that Isobel and I had working together, I think, were both of our expectations for each other, what we wanted for each other and what I wanted from her and what I knew that she could do. She reminds me a little bit of myself in terms of that path to tertiary study not going as smoothly as you hoped. There were times where it looked like it was all going to fall apart and you might go a different way to get there, but in the end you get there. I do a legal studies trip with my students to Canberra. I think that was quite an eye-opening moment, and I said to Isobel, I can see you here. This is the place I think you should come to university. And the opportunities that we saw there and the things that we were, the legal nerds that we are, quite interested in politics, we're really excited to see.
She was a dream at times and an absolute terror at times. She tended to have a few meltdowns with monotonous regularity. High school was a little bit stressful. I knew that she could do it, but yeah, there were a few setbacks. She didn't quite get into what she wanted to get into, and then she just kept trying and getting her work in. So I think she's learned to be a bit more dedicated. She certainly worked very hard. She had 2 or 3 jobs going different times.
Going from high school to university without a gap year, I was a bit oblivious as to the challenges I would face, working say 15 to 20 hours a week, then having to do 10 hours of law readings, a lot of uncertainty.
First year classes are always an interesting experience. You get an extraordinary diversity of students come through. I was amazed that somebody would come such a long way from home. I wasn't aware that she was, in fact, an interloper, so to speak. I initially made the assumption that she was a law student. My initial response was I was really worried for her. She looked really uncomfortable, she looked very worried, she looked very concerned. When she eventually approached me and said, look, I can't do half the work that needs to be done because I can't access a lot of the materials.
Andrew helped out an awful lot. Textbooks, particularly law textbooks, are very expensive, and then the fact that he was able to accommodate for me by providing me the textbooks and also seeing that there's something going for me in regards to law and say, hey, there's this job available, here's an expression of interest, go for it.
To be able to provide that support, to be able to make sure that she stayed with us, meant that there was another door opened both for her and for the profession and the broader community. Whatever happened to you in high school, whatever you came through, this is the opportunity for a new start.
When I first met Isobel, I was struck by her strength and her resilience, and the fact that she was able to continue to study and set up her life here while her family was being so impacted by the natural disaster was testament to her resilience. I tried to be very proactive in reaching out to Isobel and other students and saying, look, these are the support services that we have. These are all of the types of support that we can offer. I think that that's a big barrier, just not knowing where to go, who to go to.
Widening participation most definitely was my most utilised resource. The diversity and range of the help and expertise. Just having someone who was willing to meet up with me every week for a coffee to chat, let alone someone who then gave me warm clothes when the winter struck on, and Queenslander I am, had no idea how damn cold it would get, to when I didn't have a really good financial week, I was changing between jobs, someone who would give me groceries, someone would talk to me about when something bad happens at home.
Inspired by Isobel, I decided to put together a natural disaster relief program. So we reached out to all students who may have been impacted by natural disasters, and we offered them the opportunity to reach out for some additional support or just someone to chat to, knowing that it's so hard to be away from home, especially when there's times of hardship. Isobel said that her laptop had broken and she was reading all of her notes on her phone. So we just grabbed an iPad and gave it to her as well. We try to ensure that students have every support covered.
Izzy and I, we're always there for each other. We'll buy each other food if one of us is running low, or if one of us has had a bad day, we'll just sit and talk and stuff. And I think it's really, really nice having that support. At this point now, we're practically family. There's been the constant support from the university, and obviously socially she's had myself and a number of other people there to help her. Since I've known Isobel, she's really matured and she's wanting to really push herself. She's really, really independent and she pushes herself a lot, to the point of exhaustion sometimes. She's really driven, and I think that's really inspiring. What she's been through and everything, and she's still really positive, I think it's amazing.
I met Isobel when we came to Townsville in about 2007. Well, she's kind of like my second daughter, so she spends a lot of time at our house. My daughter spends a lot of time at their house. We go on holidays together, and the girls have always been very close. I think that the move to Canberra has really turned out well for Isobel. She's worked really hard to improve her grades. She's getting exposed to the sorts of people she wants to be exposed to. She's got opportunities that she wouldn't have in a bigger university probably. And I think it's going to be the making of her.
I think one of the advantages that is available to students here at UC is because the cohorts, because the classes are often much smaller than they might be at other universities. There is the opportunity to make connections with staff. There is the opportunity to ask questions about what happens next. What does the future hold? Where can I take this?
I knew that if she pushed herself, that she could do it. She's very, very driven. She has got high aspirations. Isobel was very involved in what was happening around the world and saw a lot of injustices and wanted to do something about that.
I want to be here at university. I knew I'd perform different academically because I was actually doing things I was interested in. Giving back to vulnerable people, which is what I'm very interested in with law, so legal aid, pro bono work, giving those who don't have a voice a voice. What can I do now to change it to be better for the future?